What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the Wilbur and Gold Show. Damn it. I'm your host, Will Dalton, aka Wilbur and Gold, and I'm tangled up in my iPhone charger. Hang on. So, if you're wondering what the hell that was just then, I was trying to be sneaky with my entrance and pretend to be looking at my phone and then just, didn't see there. But I did that, and then turned out the start of my broadcast here was kind of delayed, so the effect was just lost. But the effect of me looking like an absolute fucking idiot, oh yeah, that was there 100%. So, what's happening? Ooh, voice crack. Me and Baby Yoda are happy to see you. 100% a Baby Yoda flex, and I don't give a fuck about it. How you guys like the new background? So, the main reason I did this was because so I wanted to kind of have a little better presentation for my my show here, and I also wanted to have a decent presentation so I started doing an ACC sports show that I've been doing the last couple weeks called ACC Tailgate. And, when you're doing an actual show, I've done, a handful of these, YouTube shows that I'm trying to kind of get going. And, I've actually only been doing them live really for a couple. I think this is episode 14. This is either episode 14 or 15. And I've only been doing it live for like 3, 4, 5 shows. Because I was doing it pre-recorded with an actual camera and then editing it and making it look all crispy and nice. But then I decided, you know what? I want this to be as authentic as I can make it. So I decided to start doing this live. And I was just kind of, doing like this is on my webcam right now. And, I would just kind of have whatever as the background. Well, I kind of wanted to have a little something nicer, a little more proper as a show background. So we got the Darth Vader. Let's see what we got over here. A little tour, if you will. We got the Darth Vader poster. And it's actually, you can't see it as well. That's another thing that's actually better now is my camera quality. So if you've only known me through watching me on YouTube, you'll know before my streams actually almost look like colorless, like black and white, because I've got an older laptop here, and I just naturally assumed that the camera quality was just that bad. But as I started to tinker with it, as you can see, I am tan. I have some color. I'm not white as a fucking ghost up here. So we see that nice little, that's nice. But, yeah, so I actually got color to my video now. But no, so got some sports, got Panthers, Yankees, ACC, Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. Jesus Christ. Charlotte, it's a sad time to be a Charlotte Hornets fan. And it's even worse when you're the owner of your team is the GOAT, but yet he's the GOAT of bad owners. Well, I don't know. That's probably James Dolan for the Knicks, but anyway. Yeah, a lot of sports stuff, Star Wars stuff. Got a throwback Star Wars comic, 10 poster thing. Got my scout trooper up here just chilling. Got the evolution of Anakin Skywalker, episode 2, episode 3, then Darth Vader, episode 4. My original, well, it's not my original because it's not my first, but this is one of my favorite original toy lightsabers that I ever had. And as somebody who loves collecting like high-end lightsabers, which by the way, I actually just saw this morning. So actually, let me get into this. I didn't know what I kind of wanted to talk about. tonight. I actually just did an episode of ACC Tailgate like not even an hour ago. And the juices were flowing. I was feeling it. And I'm just like, you know what? I hadn't done an episode in almost 2 weeks. Let's get on here and let's see what we got here. I didn't even know where I really wanted to go or what I want to talk about. I just kind of wanted to come on and talk to you guys. But speaking of lightsabers, can I actually like give a round of applause to Black Series sabers? They're really upping the game as far as just the quality of their FX lightsabers are concerned. Like, as somebody who collects them, I've only ever had the Black Series sabers, which is the ones, you get in Walmart and Target and Best Buy. I've gotten most of mine in GameStop. That's probably the best place to get them, in my opinion. But the issue that I had with Black Series sabers is that, you could get the basic, Luke Skywalker blue saber, Luke Skywalker green saber, Darth Vader, and a few others. But like, as far as like really getting out there, as far as really expanding and having other character sabers, like they finally added Mace Windu, they finally added an Obi-Wan Kenobi from episode 1 and 2. Like they finally added Luke/Rey's lightsaber from the sequel trilogy. And now, like, they're going all at it. Like, now you've got Count Dooku's, you've got Asajj Ventress from the Clone Wars, you've got Kit Fisto from the prequel trilogy, you've got, who else? Oh, you got Darth Revan, one of the Elite Sabers, which the Elite Sabers is what fascinates me the most. Because those are the ones that you could, and again, another complaint that I had with the Black Series sabers is that you couldn't remove the blade. In order to get a saber that you could remove the blade, you had to get like one of the high-end Saber Forge, Ultra Sabers, Vader's Vault, all those types of high-end dueling sabers to get that are like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. We'll just leave it at that. Whereas, the Black Series sabers, they run, the older basic ones, $150. You can get them cheaper probably on eBay, Amazon, but if you buy them in store, like $150. And now, as you're seeing newer characters, $200, $215. Elite Sabers run $215, $220. Kylo Ren's Elite Sabers $300. I saw that. But no, so the Elite Sabers is what's really exciting me about the things that Black Series is doing. They've obviously, the first one they did, make sure I got this word. The first one they did was Kylo Ren's either last year or two. I think it was last year that they came out with that one, where you could remove the blades, and that was really the big thing about that one is you could remove the blades. And then it had a different type of stand where it kind of, instead of laying it diagonal like the basic stand does, it actually kind of propped it up vertical almost. So that was different. But now you're starting to see more Elite Sabers come out. The next one that came out was Darth Revan a few months ago, and they upped the ante even more. Obviously, you can remove the blade. It's got the different vertical stand. It also changes colors, red and purple, because and I'm not the most knowledgeable about Darth Revan, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of those, was a Jedi or was a good guy and then turned into a Sith or a bad guy. I believe that's what happened with him. So you can get red and purple, 2 colors, and just a really cool saber. Like the color, changing colors, that's the additional thing, obviously, and then removing the blade. They upped the ante again when they announced that. And if you're a Star Wars fan, but more specifically, if you're a Force FX lightsaber collector, you know this. Darth Sidious, a.k.a. Palpatine's lightsaber, is extremely rare and hard to find. And when you did find it, the damn thing was like $900. Ridiculous. and I'm pretty sure the only one you could find was the like throwback master replica one, aka why it's so hard to find and so expensive. They announced a few months ago that they are coming out with an elite Palpatine Darth Sidious saber, which to me that was the big one, because it's so rare and so hard to find. And I think why I felt so significant about that was I was noticing kind of a pattern with Black Series sabers as they were becoming more prominent, as more characters' sabers were getting made. Usually what would happen, like the first wave was, Luke blue from episode 4, Luke green from episode 6, Darth Vader from the sequel, or from the original trilogy. And I think that was it for just the basic sabers in like the first wave of actual Black Series FX lightsabers. Then the next wave, you saw Kylo Ren, I believe Obi-Wan from episode 3, 4. You started to see Obi-Wan's from episode 1 and 2. You started to see Mace Windu. When the Mace Windu one came out and the Obi-Wan 1 and 2, that's when things started to get interesting, because it's like, okay, all right, now we're getting beyond the basic Luke, Vader, like we're getting into some more, because those sabers at the time you could only get from Master Replica or really expensive dueling saber companies, and they were hard to find or just really stupid expensive. And then Black Series started to make them. They were more affordable. So that was cool. And then you got Kylo Ren, which was a really cool one. I don't think they have a Yoda Black Series. I know they have a... Maybe they do. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I think they have a Yoda Black Series, but it's kind of rare. Yoda in general is rare. I know I actually had one. I found a Yoda Master Replica saber, and I bought it for like $125 and actually flipped it for $250, just because I knew when I saw it, I'm like, okay, I know what these are going for online. This is stupid cheap for this saber. Let me get a little profit here. It's kind of bittersweet because I wanted to keep it because it was rare, but I'm like, no, let's flip this thing and get a little business going here. But when the Mace Windu came out, that one, it really rare. And then just Kit Fisto, Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress. So now you're getting into more characters that, again, really rare sabers to find, especially Count Dooku. That one's really cool to me. Darth Maul, don't forget Darth Maul. But the pattern was, and then they had Rey's saber, or Luke from episode 5 that he dropped after Vader cut his arm off, and then, I'm your father and all that jazz. But the pattern was usually the new wave of sabers was somebody either, from the prequels, or like with the Rey saber or the Kylo Ren, it's like somebody who's prominent, like that we're seeing right now, or we're seeing, when the sequel movies were coming out. So when they announced that Palpatine saber was coming out, I mean, because The Rise of Skywalker was a year ago. So, like, we don't have and it sucks. Well, we got The Mandalorian, obviously, but there's no Star Wars movie this holiday season, what's kind of sad, but... So I was curious what potential sabers we would see. I thought maybe we would see, I'm still holding out that we're going to end up seeing a Leia saber at some point. In fact, I would almost bet on it. Probably an elite saber. But for the most part, like, it was either characters from the prequels or characters in the sequels that were kind of current. So when they came out with Palpatines, it was just like, oh, okay, like they're going out there and really getting into some detail, because you hadn't seen Palpatine's like you saw Palpatine's lightsaber for such a small period of time in episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and then a few times in the Clone Wars series. Like, so it wasn't a very prominent saber. It was one of the cool, rare sabers, but it wasn't very prominent to the point where it's like, we're probably going to get, like, I would have never guessed that Black Series would come out with a Palpatine saber. I really didn't. So, and it's been so long since Revenge of the Sith back in 2005 that it was just like, now that but when I saw that, it really kind of told me, all right, Black Series is getting it right, because now we're starting to see some detail as opposed to just basic generic characters like Luke, Vader, and things like that. So I say all that to say this, because if Palpatine wasn't enough, now they're taking it a step further. When I saw this morning, because I just happened to be on GameStop, and the holidays are coming up, Black Friday's coming up, and I like to know, I'm going to get me some lightsabers this year. And so I was kind of wanting to look at the prices, and I saw that the newest Force FX Elite Saber is going to be Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars. And that was just, because again, kind of like Palpatine, it's like it's a rare saber. Like, she wasn't in one of the main films. She was just in Clone Wars. I mean, not just in Clone Wars, but like, you wouldn't think that they would make a saber from, the series. Like, you would just think it'd be probably the main movies that they would, like, nah, like. Now, Ahsoka saber, you would have to go before now. Now, it doesn't come out till April, but you would have to go to like one of the expensive dueling saber sites to get an Ahsoka saber. And so the details are, it comes out in April. Again, you can remove the blade. You got the stand. But now, for the first time, we're getting a lightsaber that can change into 3 colors: blue, green, and yellow. All colors that Ahsoka had throughout the series. And the kicker for me, which we've never seen this in a Black Series saber or a Master Replica saber back in the day, you can remove the kyber crystal and it like lights up. That, it's like, I was worried that after the, and see, I guess the reason I kind of got on this rant, I was worried that when the Star Wars movies ended last year with Rise of Skywalker, that we were going to start seeing less, Force FX sabers, just because, it's not as, I mean, Star Wars is always going to be a big brand and prominent, but it's always more marketed and prominent when there's an actual movie out. And so I was kind of worried and curious, like, all right, are they going to stop making them? Or, how are they going to handle that? And I would argue, since the movies have ended, they're making more. Like, since the movie ended, we've had a completely new wave of rare characters: Kit Fisto, Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, Darth Revan from the fucking Old Republic video game. Like, that's really going out there. And then now Palpatine and Ahsoka, and you can remove the kyber crystal. Like, in the Palpatine, it's got different modes where it's like the sounds are starting to be like more accurate to the character's actual saber. Because if you notice, it's subtle, but if you'll notice, you'll see that each saber has its own kind of different hum and ignition sound, and they're all kind of unique. They're having that, and it's just like, it almost looks like they're getting better at making these sabers now that the movies are over. So I'm totally convinced that you're going to get a Rey from Episode 9, where it had a little bit of a different look, where it broke in half in Last Jedi. I'm definitely thinking you're going to get a Leia lightsaber. And I want to say you might get the Dark Rey double-bladed foldable lightsaber. I want to say that one's coming. So, and I think you'll probably get a dark saber at some point, especially now that we saw one at the end of The Mandalorian in Season 1, and Season 2 starts up at the end of this month. Shout out Baby Yoda. But, yeah, I'm super excited about that. So, yeah, lightsabers. You didn't know I was going to talk about lightsabers for fucking 20 minutes, did you? What else is going on? Oh, Leveon Bell going to the Chiefs now to get into some sports stuff. That was fun though. I don't talk enough about Star Wars on this show, and I kind of want to make it just anything and everything. But to get into some sports now, Leveon Bell going to the Chiefs. I talked a little bit about this earlier with somebody. I think this is. I hesitate to say this is it for Leveon Bell, like this is his last shot, because I know it isn't. Because I mean, we see it all the time. Like players, get all different types of opportunities. I mean, look at Adrian Peterson right now with the Lions. I mean, he's pretty washed up at this point, but he still gets opportunities to keep going. So it's not the last opportunity for Leveon Bell, and if he screws this up, he's done. This is the last opportunity for Leveon Bell as we know him. In other words, that Leveon Bell that we saw in Pittsburgh with the Steelers, how he was one of the premier running backs in the league, we haven't seen it since then. He had a bad falling out leaving Pittsburgh. He held out because he wanted to get paid, and they didn't want to pay him what he wanted. The Jets did. He didn't play very much or very well for the Jets, the little bit he played while he was there. Him and Adam Gase, the head coach, didn't get along. The management that brought in Leveon Bell has switched over since then. So it's new management, and now Adam Gase was basically stuck with Leveon Bell when he didn't even want Leveon Bell in the first place. He wanted to build the offensive line, which was Sam Darnold seeing ghosts and running for his life all the time. Who can blame him? But the moral of the story is, didn't end well in Pittsburgh. It didn't end well in New York with the Jets. Now, the Steelers, him trying to get paid, that was a legitimate reason. The Jets, where the culture is garbage and Adam Gase is probably going to be next out the door and he's a terrible head coach, and the Jets are the joke. Well, no. The Falcons are the joke of the NFL, but the Jets are probably the worst team in the NFL. That's understandable just from the culture there, why it didn't go so well for Leveon Bell. He was with the worst team in the NFL, worst culture in the NFL. Now he's going to not only a contender, he's going to the contender in the Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champion, with Patrick Mahomes handing it off to him. And if he can't make it work with the teddy bear of a head coach in Andy Reid, the teddy bear, cheeseburger-loving Andy Reid, one of the greatest dudes in the NFL, you can't make it work with him, who's in the whole NFL recognized as a player's coach. If you can't make it work in that situation, I think this is it for Leveon Bell as we know him. And then he would just become kind of a player that, kind of a Dez Bryant almost type player where he was just one of the best in the league at one point, and then he just never could come back. And so that's going to be interesting to see, I think, what's going to happen there. I'm personally on the side. I think it's going to work out well, and he's going to kind of find it and get himself going again. But no excuses anymore, I'll say that, because you went from the worst to now the best, and you went from one of the worst head coaches in the league right now to the best, or one of, obviously Belichick, Pete Carroll, others, but one of the best. Ain't no excuses now for old Leveon Bell. None. LeBron won the chip since I was last on here. And obviously LeBron winning the chip sparks the GOAT debate, of course. To me, that's interesting because it's like LeBron just can't win with the media and with people who really get into the GOAT debate. Me, I've never really put a big stake in the ground. Like, I tend to lean more towards LeBron, but I also have sense enough to know that MJ 6-0 in the finals. He also didn't have to go through the Warriors. He also didn't have to go through the Spurs. He hasn't had to deal with the super teams that LeBron has. He's not the physical specimen that LeBron is. He is not the kind of galvanize everybody and make everybody better that LeBron is. MJ is actually kind of regarded as a hard ass fucking, kind of not the greatest dude in the world. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad dude, but here's where I stand on the GOAT debate. I think that eras matter. MJ played in more of a smash mouth era that fit what he was and is. LeBron plays in an era that's more about, flair and shooting and social media and brand. And I actually think because of that and because of where social media and technology and everything is going, I would argue, and I'm actually going to, I'm always on the record, but I want to put this really on the record for a decade down the road, maybe, that I can air this video and say, hey, I called that. I personally think that LeBron will end up being regarded. He's going to end up being regarded as the GOAT by this and the next generation. Because I think that whole argument of, oh, nobody's ever going to be better than MJ. Well, there's nothing LeBron can do that he's ever going to overcome MJ, which I actually don't buy into that because he's still going at it very strong. I think MJ's hard ass, 6-0. Like, I think that what LeBron is going to cause MJ's greatness to a degree to get lost in history, if that makes sense, because I think as LeBron is more of an adapter of the social media age, he's got a not bigger brand, but he's got more of a brand. I mean, I don't know how to describe this because obviously Jordan's Air Jordan, so I can't say that, but LeBron does more things than Michael. He does more things really well than Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's obviously got the brand, the shoe brand, and all that, and then obviously what he did on the court. But, LeBron just has so much more, I think. He's so much more expanded, and I think that's going to end up mattering more to people in the social media age, in the future generation, once LeBron retires and does whatever he's going to do in the rest of his career. I think his impact both on and off the court, his ability to make players better, his ability to go anywhere and win a title, and then as soon as he leaves that franchise, they fall into the dirt harder than anything you could believe. He left the Cavs the first time. They go back to getting number one overall picks in a complete train wreck. He leaves the Heat after his 4 years there. They immediately fall out of the playoff picture after being the finals favorite every year. He leaves Cleveland the second time. They immediately go to the laughingstock and the worst team in the league after going to the finals 4 straight years. And the Lakers were horrible until LeBron got there and started getting things and setting up shop there and doing his thing, bringing in players, doing his thing, training these younger players and teaching them how to win and be a champion. So I just think all those things combined with the social media age and LeBron's bigger impact and more things than Jordan, I think that's going to matter more, and LeBron will actually end up being recognized regardless of whether it's the truth of it or not. I think eras matter. And I think they're two different players and they're two different styles of play, which is a point Chris Bosh made. And a lot of people make this point, and they're two different players. They got two different games. MJ was more of a killer. LeBron's more of a assist and make everybody better. He can be a killer when he wants to, but he's more of a kind of more rounded game and make everybody better type of player. And I just think that that's going to matter more in the future. And I think that LeBron is going to be recognized actually as the GOAT when it's all said and done for those reasons. So that's just kind of where I stand on it. I think that's all I got for tonight. I'm actually kind of gassed. My energy went from up here when I started. I'm kind of like, I need some coffee. So that is going to do it for tonight. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday night. Have a great rest of your weekend if I don't come back on until Monday. And until then, this has been the Wilbur and Gold Show. I'm your host, Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold. We'll see you next time.